I always believed that family would eventually accept me for who I am. I was wrong. They didn't just disrespect my job, they disrespected me as a person. And on one ordinary afternoon, their ignorance almost cost my nephew his life. Is there anyone in your life that you wish you could get revenge on? Tell me in the comments who that person is and what they did. I'd really like to know your story. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue bringing you these stories. Your support helps me keep creating and sharing new content for you. My name is Dr. Nora Bennett, and this is the story of how my own family mocked me for years until the day they were forced to watch me save a life they thought I wasn't capable of saving. I became a doctor because I wanted to help people. After years of studying and struggling, I finally became an emergency room physician. I worked long shifts, saved lives, and carried the weight of people's worst days on my shoulders. I was proud of my work, but my family never saw it that way. My mother, Diana, would often say, "Nora, when are you going to stop playing nurse and get a real job?" My younger brother, Lucas, was even worse. He would laugh and tell people, "My sister plays doctor on weekends." They never took my profession seriously. In their eyes, I was just wasting my time in a hospital while they built real careers. One weekend, Lucas organized a big lake party at his cabin to celebrate his son Mason's 7th birthday. Almost 40 people were there, family, friends, and some of his business associates. I was invited too, though I knew it was mostly because it would look bad if I wasn't there. Everything was going fine until late afternoon. Mason and a few other kids were playing near the edge of the lake. Suddenly, one of the kids started screaming that Mason had slipped and gone under the water. Panic spread instantly. People started running toward the lake, shouting and panicking. I didn't think twice. I ran straight into the water and pulled Mason out. He wasn't breathing. His lips were turning blue. I immediately started CPR, clearing his airway and giving him rescue breaths. Within a minute, he coughed and started breathing again. I kept monitoring him until the ambulance arrived. When the paramedics took over, I stepped back, completely sulked and exhausted. My clothes were ruined, and I was shivering. But Mason was alive. That was all that mattered. We all rushed to the hospital. I stayed in the waiting room with the rest of the family. I was still in my wet clothes, sitting quietly in the corner while everyone else was crying and panicking. About 20 minutes later, the ER chief, Dr. Adrian Cole, walked into the waiting room. He was looking around when his eyes suddenly landed on me. He looked surprised. He walked straight toward me and said loudly in front of everyone, "Dr. Bennett? What are you doing here in the waiting room? You should be in scrubs. We're short on doctors today." The entire waiting area went completely silent. My mother's head snapped toward me so fast that I thought she would hurt herself. My brother Lucas froze mid-sentence. My father looked like someone had punched him in the stomach. Dr. Cole continued, unaware of the storm he had just created. "We need you in trauma. Can you assist?" I stood up slowly and replied, "I'm off duty today, Dr. Cole. I'm here with my family."
He nodded and walked away, but the damage was already done. My mother was staring at me with wide eyes. My brother looked like he had seen a ghost. The entire family was now looking at me in complete shock. My mother finally spoke, her voice low and shaky. "Nora, you're a doctor?" I looked at her and gave a small, tired smile. "I've been one for the last 5 years, Mom." She looked like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. My brother Lucas took a step toward me and said in disbelief, "If you're actually a doctor, then why the hell did Mom tell everyone you were just a babysitter?" The waiting room fell into an uncomfortable silence after my brother Lucas asked that question. Everyone was staring at me, my mother, my father, and a few close relatives who had come to the hospital. My mother's face had turned completely pale. She looked at Lucas angrily and said in a low voice, "Lucas, not now." But it was too late. The damage was already done. I looked at my mother and asked calmly, "So it's true. You've been telling people that I'm just a babysitter." My mother avoided my eyes and said, "I never said that exactly. I just told some people that you work with children. I didn't want them to think you were struggling." I let out a bitter laugh. "Struggling? I'm an ER doctor, Mom. I save lives every single day. But you were embarrassed to tell people that?" My father finally spoke, trying to sound reasonable. "Nora, you have to understand. In our social circle, being a doctor in a government hospital doesn't carry the same respect as running a business or working in a private clinic. We didn't want people to look down on you." I stared at him in disbelief. "So, instead of being proud of me, you decided to lie about my profession? You made me look like a failure in front of everyone?" My mother stepped forward and tried to touch my arm, but I pulled away. "Nora, please try to understand," she said. "We did it for your own good. We didn't want people asking questions about why you're still single and working such long hours. We were protecting your image." I looked at both of them and felt something break inside me. "Protecting my image?" I repeated. "Or protecting yours?" Neither of them answered. Just then, Dr. Adrian Cole walked back into the waiting area. He looked at me and said, "Dr. Bennett, the boy you saved is stable now. You did a good job out there. If you weren't here, things could have gone very badly." He then looked at my family and added, "You should be proud of her. Not many people can stay calm and perform CPR so effectively in a panic situation." My mother forced a smile and said, "Yes, we are proud." But her voice lacked any real emotion. After Dr. Cole left, the atmosphere became even more tense. My brother Lucas was staring at the floor while my parents looked extremely uncomfortable. I looked at all three of them and said, "I've stayed quiet for years while you mocked my job and lied about me. But today, you crossed the line. You let my nephew almost die because you were too busy worrying about appearances. And when I saved him, instead of thanking me, you tried to hide the fact that I'm a doctor." My mother's expression hardened. "Nora, you're making this bigger than it is. We were just trying to keep the peace at the party." I shook my head. "No, Mom. You were trying to keep your fake image intact. And I'm done being part of that lie." I picked up my bag and started walking toward the exit. My father called out from behind, "Nora, where are you going? We still need to talk about this as a family." I stopped and turned around. "There's nothing left to talk about," I said, "because from today, I'm no longer pretending to be part of this family." As I walked out of the hospital, I heard my mother's voice behind me, now filled with panic. "Nora, wait, there's something you don't know. Something important about your father's will." I stopped walking, but I didn't turn around. My mother's words kept echoing in my head. "Nora, there's something you don't know. Something important about your father's will." I slowly turned back. My mother was standing near the hospital entrance, looking desperate. My father and Lucas were standing behind her, both looking equally tense. I walked back toward them and said coldly, "What about the will?" My mother glanced at my father before speaking. Her voice was low and shaky. "Your father, he changed his will a few months before he passed away. He left the family house and a large portion of his savings to you. But we never told you. We thought it would be better if everything stayed with Lucas. He's the only son after all." I stared at her in disbelief. "So you hid the will from me?" My father finally spoke, his voice defensive. "We did what we thought was right for the family. You already have your own life and job. Lucas needed the house and money more than you. We were going to tell you eventually." I let out a bitter laugh. Eventually? After how many years? After you finished distributing everything amongst yourselves? My mother stepped forward and tried to reach for my hand. "Nora, please try to understand. We never meant to hurt you. We just didn't want to create problems in the family. You're still our daughter." I pulled my hand away. "No, Mom. I stopped being your daughter the day you started lying about me and treating me like I was less than Lucas. And today, after what happened with Mason, I realized something. You don't respect me. You never did." Lucas, who had been quiet until now, steadily spoke up. "So what? You're going to take everything from us now? Is that your revenge?" I looked at him and replied calmly. "I don't need revenge, Lucas. I just need what's rightfully mine. And after today, I don't want anything to do with this family." My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Nora, please don't do this. We're still your family." I shook my head. "No, you're not. A family doesn't lie, mock, and hide things from each other. A family doesn't treat one child like they're less important than the other. I'm done." I turned around and started walking away again. This time, none of them called after me. Over the next few weeks, I contacted my father's lawyer and claimed what was legally mine. The house and the money that my father had left for me were transferred into my name. My mother and Lucas tried to fight it in court, but they had no strong case. The original will was clear. During this time, I also made another decision. I completely cut off contact with my mother and brother. I blocked their numbers and told them not to reach out to me again. It was painful, but it was necessary for my peace. Mason recovered fully from the incident. I visited him a few times at Lucas's house before completely distancing myself. He was just a child, and none of this was his fault.
Today, almost a year has passed since that day at the lake. I still work as an ER doctor, and I'm proud of the life I've built. I bought a small apartment for myself and have been focusing on my career and mental health. Sometimes I think about my family. I don't hate them anymore, but I also don't miss them. They made their choices, and I made mine. What I learned from all of this is simple but powerful. You don't have to keep proving your worth to people who refuse to see it. Sometimes walking away from toxic family is the most respectful thing you can do for yourself. And no matter how much they try to diminish you, your value doesn't decrease. They called my job playing nurse, but on the day it mattered the most, I was the only one who knew how to save a life. Is there anyone in your life that you wish you could get revenge on? Tell me in the comments who that person is and what they did. I'd really like to know your story. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue bringing you these stories. Your support helps me keep creating and sharing new content for you.